What's up, gamers? It's Old School Fool, and we're back again with the FC3 Plus. Now, last time I showed you guys an unboxing. This is the latest and supposedly the greatest in classic retro remakes. Now, the FC3 Plus, once again, is brought to you by Yobo, and we have the Nintendo, Super Nintendo, and Genesis systems all in one. We're not going to be able to go through every last game in existence just because there's not enough time to do it, and you guys don't want to watch a video of me switching cartridges. But we are going to show you some of the questions on some of the more popular titles, and some of the titles in general are just, you just want to play for the Super Nintendo, Genesis, or Nintendo. We're also going to show you how it's hooked up. It's hooked up through AV connections, as you can see here, regular AVs. It's got the 3 slots right now. They're occupied by Super Game Boy, Zombies Ate My Neighbors, Paperboy, and that's about it right there. It's only 3 slots. And as you can see, I also had the Nintendo, the Genesis selection, and the power and the reset button. And of course, as you guys had asked last time, does it use original Genesis or Super Nintendo controls? It does not. It has its own proprietary controllers, and they're actually not that bad. We were using them. They actually feel pretty nice. So let's take a look. All right. So when the power up, we're going to start with the Super Nintendo, which is the far right switch, and we'll power up real quick. And as you can see, there's a Super Game Boy in it. Now, this is an accessory which, obviously is not really a game, but you would probably expect it not to really play, but it does. It plays flawlessly. In fact, we played a bunch of the original... Whoa! All-star action. As you would say, a lot of people would wonder whether or not this really played a bunch of Game Boy titles, and we played Kirby's Adventure in it. We played WrestleMania, and now we're playing the All-Star Challenge. So your Super Game Boy, if you have one, does work on the FC3 Plus. This is start and select buttons. It's got the 2 shoulder pads, 3 buttons, 3 across, and as you can see, I can actually select the game and actually play on my Super Game Boy. But there you go, there's a Super Game Boy, and obviously if you didn't have the Game Boy cartridge in it, it would start it off without anything. Let's say you're a bad person, you should put your Game Boy game in. So, a lot of people are asking also whether or not it plays the Super FX games, and as you can see in the slot right here, it actually has the ports for the Super FX games, and the Super FX games indeed do work. We even use Stunt Race FX, but for aesthetic purposes and people who love and remember the game, we're going to use Starfox. Alright, so Starfox is the Super FX game. Does it work? And there you have it. We be jamming. So yeah, good old Starfox works flawlessly, as you can see. Dropping the bombs. And you always want to power off your system before you pull a cartridge out, because you actually can damage it, even if it was original Super Nintendo or the clones. You should always make sure you power down. Killer Instinct. Only on your Ultra 64. This never came out. You see the sounds fine. This had actually a decent soundtrack for Super Nintendo. Super Castlevania 4. Fine. Super Mario RPG. Brought to you by Nintendo and Square. As you can see, it works fine. So anybody who had questions about Super Mario RPG, it does work. Obviously, we can't test every last game, but if you guys find that when you pick it up that there's certain things that do work on the list or don't work on the list, you can always go to the Gamer's Voice and post the response, because we do have a compatibility list up. So you can take a look at that. Next, we're going to go with the Genesis. Genesis is the middle slot, and we're going to start with Zombies Ate My Neighbors for the Genesis. So you move it in the middle to the slot 2, as you can see there. And there you have it. Zombies Ate My Neighbors. Scary. Shinobi 3. Works flawless. Super Street Fighter 2. Middle slot. Push it in. Get your mind out of the gutter, you dirty devils. There you have it. If you hear music, you know it's working. Usually what happens if you don't actually see it at first, that means you probably need to clean your cartridge, because even though it's got new pin connection points, you always have to clean your cartridges. So, a lot of people want to know if Sonic and Knuckles works. Well, we're going to connect Sonic 3 to Sonic and Knuckles. So there you have it. Sonic and Knuckles, Sonic 3. You can actually pull it out, play it by itself. So the stacks do work. So the pass-throughs work. So speaking of pass-through, we're going to go on to the next cartridge, which also works the pass-through device, the Game Genie with all these cruddy labels on it. And there you have it. Game Genie. So you can connect your Game Genie, bust out the old Game Genie codes for your Genesis, Earthworm Jim. There you go. And the Genesis 6-pack, which is obviously the 6 games in one. Streets of Rage comes. Hang On. Streets of Rage, Golden Axe, Shinobi. We worked with Streets of Rage 2, we tested that. Sonic 2, we tested that. Miss Pac-Man, gotta love her. Phantasy Star 2, Phantasy Star 3, and Phantasy Star 4, if anybody had questions. The original Sonic, and of course, Comic Zone. So next was a question on some of the older Yobo systems. What about the Paperboy? Well, the Paperboy works too. So the last slot is the Nintendo slot, and we're going to switch it to Nintendo. And there you go. The amazing Paperboy delivers. And obviously so does Yobo this time. And there you have it. Now, unfortunately, as cool as all this is, there is a still downside to it. Even though it's the third production from Yobo of their retro classic systems, it just so happens that the original Rolling Thunder Tengen does not work. And of course, again, yes, Castlevania 3. Castlevania 3 does not work, folks. So, you're just going to have to grin and bear it for that one. But we'll show you some other ones that do work, that were in question. Double Dragon 3. Oh, see, that's what happens when you don't clean games. There you have it. Full color, full resolution, sounds crisp. Next one up, Kirby's Adventure. One of my personal classics. Still a great game in all forms. Super Nintendo Kirby's do work, by the way. If you guys have any questions, once again, go to videogamecentral.com/gamersvoice for all the information. Castlevania. There it is. Gotta hear it. Castlevania 2. Still no Castlevania 3. There it is. Castlevania 2. Billy and Jimmy Lee. Twin Dragons. And of course, you can play with 2 player controls. System plays with 2 controls and a Lycon for Hogan's Alley, which plays flawlessly. Super Mario Duck Hunt Collection, or Duck Hunt by itself. And that's pretty much concludes everything, folks. So that's the FC3 Plus by Yobo. Check out to the right of the video description for a link to videogamecentral.com and the Gamer's Voice to view your opinions and pick up your copy of this next-gen clone system, because the classics never die. I'm Old School Fool. Thanks for watching.